So, you want to learn how to make Embers in Blender 2.8? Well, step 1, go outside and burn something. Step 2, you're finished. Congratulations. Hey guys, welcome back to TutsByKai. I'm Kai, and today we are back in Blender once again, taking a look at Embers. I have actually a couple other Ember tutorials, but you guys are always asking me, things are different now, so we'll be doing some Embers in 2.8. Particles are a little different, not too different. But since you guys asked me, I figure we might as well. So many people ask me for particle stuff, which is great because I love doing particle stuff. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do, my friends. All right. So first things first. I'm sorry, default cube. Delete. And I'm also going to grab our lamp. Delete on that as well. Then select our camera. Alt-G to clear location. And then Alt-R to clear rotation. Then RX90 on my numpad. Then left click to confirm that. GY to move the camera backwards. 0 on my numpad to go into the front-facing view. Now, we're all ready to go. Now we can go ahead and hit Shift-A and add in a mesh plane. And then hit G to move that bad boy down here, just out of the camera's view. Maybe to the left, maybe to the right, wherever you want to do it. I always usually do it to the left because I just think it sounds and looks better that way. Sounds? Wait a second now. Wait. What sound do Embers make? I guess the Embers... I guess it's the log that makes like the crackling sound, but like the Embers, they don't actually make. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, we're gonna hit S to scale this bad boy up, and maybe SX to scale on the X-axis, just like that. Hold down Shift and click the middle mouse button to pan around so I can see it over here. Then RY to rotate it on the Y-axis. Then I'm gonna just double tap R, and then just kind of move it something like that, maybe away from the camera like that, and then RY move it a little bit, just trying to get it where I want it. G to move it around a little bit, just something like that, so it's kind of diagonal. Now, if it was over here, you would of course do the same thing, but just the opposite. So it'd be like that, you know. But I'm gonna do it over here. All right, cool. So now we got all this going on. Looks good. I like it. And then with the plane selected, I'll go to the particle tab, which is this bad boy right here. It should have nothing until you hit the little plus button, and then boom, you got all the particle settings. Congratulations, you're done. No, I'm joking. We're gonna go ahead and go to field weights and turn the gravity all the way off. Now, when we play this. If I were to play it with gravity on, you would just, you know, of course it would do the same exact thing you'd think it would do. It would go ahead and just fall down like particles do. If I turn gravity all the way off, you can see they kind of just float upwards, which is nice, which is what we need. But you can see they kind of stop, which is not what we need. So that's the reason, because the lifetime is only on 50 frames. So it only lasts for 50 frames, which is not good. So we're going to turn this all the way up to the end of our simulation, which is 250, because that's our end frame right here. See? And now when we go back to the beginning, you can see that they go longer than right here, which is nice. So now they're floating up into existence. We're going to go to physics and change the Brownian up to maybe 5. I'm going to change it up to 5, not 5, 2. We'll do 2 for the Brownian. Maybe it's Bro W Neon. Neon, like the dragon. I don't know. Whatever. We'll do that. I think we'll leave it on 2 for now. And then we're also going to need to go to velocity. Undo physics. We can do that. Downsize all that, we don't need anymore. We can change the velocity for the randomized to maybe 2. I can't remember the values, but I think this might be pretty good. That's too much. We'll do 1. I think it's 1 for the randomized because they start going in weird directions. We're going to change the number of particles as well to 600 because that's just too many. And also, this is a little too thick now, so I'm going to go ahead and hit SX, sorry, because I don't want them to be that big, that thick. It's too much at the same time, so... we'll change the number of particles down even more to maybe 300. We'll cut it in half. That's just too many particles. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. I like it. It's looking embery. Now, for the actual circles, if I were to render this, you wouldn't see anything because this is just halos. This is what you see. This is what Blender visualizes particles as, but there's not actually anything there. So to get that, to fix that, hit Shift-A, and then we'll go to Mesh, Circle, and then before you click anywhere else, you have to do this. You're going to go to Add Circle and then change this from Nothing to Ingon. Now it has a center, so if it's on Nothing, you can see through it. If it's Ingon, then it actually has faces, which is nice. So, actually just one big face, but anyway. Hit GY to move this back behind the camera because we don't need to see it no more. And then we can select our plane once again, as always, and scroll on down, get rid of velocity, get rid of emission. We can scroll on down to Render and change this from render as Halo to Render as Object. Now, if I were to just do this regularly, I would go down and I would go to Instance Object, and then I would choose Circle because that's the circle right here. That's this guy. Now you can see we have those circles, but they're rotated wrong. So we're going to check Object Rotation, and then we're going to select our object, and then rotate it RX90 on my numpad. So now you can see when I did that, they rotate along with the actual circle itself. So I could do it like this, but this is only ever going to be one color. I want to have multiple colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down, I'm going to select the circle and then hold down, I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate it, right? Hit Shift D, then GX to move it over. And now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to create materials for these. So I'm going to hit new material for this one right here, and we're going to make this one yellow, yellowish orange. And then we're going to hit this little drop down, select the first material, and then we're going to make this one like orangey, right? And then maybe we'll do one more, Shift D, GX, and then we'll hit this little button right here, the 3, and we'll change this to red. All right, now with that done, I'm going to hold down Shift and select all of these circles and hit M on my keyboard to create a new collection. It's going to be called, well, you guessed it, Embers. Hit enter on that and then OK. Now, we can go back to our plane, and now with our plane, if I go to rendered mode, you can see that, oh, let's real quick first, let's add a... Let's do this. Let's do this first. Okay, so if we didn't do that first, we have to change all these to emission. It's going to make them all white, which is fine because they're not perfect colors anyway. We got all that going, but you can see these are all just yellow, which is not what I want because we only use the one object. We need to go back to this and change this from render object to render collection, and then we'll choose our embers. Now you can see we have all 3 colors, which is nice. So that's what I wanted, and I'll change the strength of these to maybe 3 because 1 is not enough. 3 looks good. Yeah, do that. And then now we have this, but the problem is that it still is kind of generic right now because it's just it takes too long for them to come into focus, by the way, as well. So let's real quick select the plane, and then we'll just keep moving it until I see it. So I want it to be about right there. I don't want to see it at all, so we'll just move it right off the side of the camera. Now they come into the frame much quicker, which is nicer. All right, sweet. So they're all the same size, which doesn't look good. I'm gonna turn my overlays off by hitting this little button right here, by the way. So yeah, all the same size. We'll go to the world tab and change this to black real quick as well. So to change that, with our plane selected, we're going to go ahead and go back to the particle tab. Alright, so as you can see, we found the scale here. So we'll just turn this up under render. We'll just turn that up. You see when we turn that up, it gets much, much better. You can see we have a lot of more randomization here, which is much nicer. And we also have the ability to change the scale in general. I'm going to make them a bit smaller because I think it looks a little bit better. Now I'm going to turn bloom on as well. So we'll go to the scene tab, turn bloom on, and then we'll just turn the threshold down a little bit. I do want to add another plane here. So real quick, we'll go ahead and select this plane, hit Shift D, duplicate it, right? Put it right beneath the other plane. And then we'll go ahead and use a different particle. So we'll hit this little 2 button on the particle settings, change it so it's duplicate. Now it's not the same thing. I want to turn the number of particles up to 1,000. Yes, that's right, 1,000, my friends. And we'll turn the normal up to 3 and the randomized to 1. And the Brownian up to something high, like 7. Just something crazy. Maybe the normal up to 4 for the velocity, actually. And now for the render, I want to have 3 more particles here. So wait a second, what this is. Oh, I had that one selected still. All right, never mind. All right, so we're going to select all 3 of these. And I'm going to hit Shift D right here. Hit M, and we're going to move them to a new collection that's going to be called Embers 2, right? So now we've got more embers. And these ones down here are going to be on this plane. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose a collection. This collection is going to be Embers 2. And now if we play this, we got 2 different ember things going on. You can see one of them is much faster than the other one. And maybe that's too many particles. I think that's too many. So we'll do 300 instead of 1,000 or whatever it was. The random size all the way up. And the scale needs to go way, way down. So they're just really tiny. Just really, really tiny. The final touch, camera. We're going to select our camera. Go back to the camera tab, select depth of field, check that, make sure it's on, turn the f-stop all the way down, and then we're going to select, you can leave it like this, actually, to be honest with you, because that looks fine, or you can just choose a focus distance, which I'm going to do somewhere around here, around 14 for me. Now, if you want to see exactly where it is, you can turn limits on, and then you can pan outside of your camera, you can see where this little plus is, exactly where the focus distance is. So I'm going to leave it about right there on 14, because I think that looks pretty good for me. And then we'll turn limits off. All right, so now if I turn my overlays off and then play this, you can see that we now have some nice bokeh. Look at these particles. Magical, mystical embers right there, man. I'll see you boys and girls in the next one, but until then, bye-bye.